Good Morning Gwinnett presents the Friday Morning Mingle, the show hosted by the women of the Thrive Tribe, sponsored by the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce. Check out the ladies every Friday morning at 10 a.m. as they talk about their real life as an entrepreneur. If you miss an episode, be sure to go to www.goodmorninggwinnett.com to listen to past shows. Sit back and enjoy.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Friday Morning Mingle, presented to you by Good Morning Gwinnett. I'm your host, Audrey Bell Kearney, along with my guest today, Miss Christina. Alexis, listen, I'm over here freaking out, y'all, because y'all know what today is. Today is the second Friday of the month. I'm running in from the Gwinnett Women's Breakfast meeting. I come in, the speakers don't work, so it's like crazy. And what's crazy is I always try to leave early so I can get here on time, so I'm not rushing and pulling my hair out. And it doesn't miss. Soon as I'm getting ready to walk out the door, we have a new person coming to the breakfast. She get there right at 10:05. I'm like, I got to go. Then she starts talking about commercial real estate, which means I need to stop for a second because I got questions. So I'm freaking out. I do get here in time, only to get here, and then the speakers doesn't work. I'm like, what is happening? So I'm freaking out. But anyway, it's been a good morning. I've been up and about since about 5:30. And now I'm here with Christina, and she's here to share with you guys some really good information. So shout out to everybody watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Amazon, everywhere. Shout out to all you guys for joining us this morning. Listen, I need you to stick around for this because you may not be a small business owner, you may not be self-employed, but you may know somebody that's a small business owner. You may know someone that's self-employed. And I'm telling you guys, you're leaving money on the table. And I think a lot of times, I was talking about this yesterday with the Yvonne in Europe. People think that it's not true. It's like fraudulent, all these crazy things. And you're just leaving money on the table because you got a fear. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Hardy. Thank you for joining us over on LinkedIn. We're going to be talking about this thing called a self-employed income tax credit. And so Christina is an expert in this space, and she's going to tell us what we need to know as self-employed individuals about what this is. But before we get to the good stuff, Christina, give our viewers a little bit of background about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Audrey, for having me on the show. This has been a lot of fun already, and technical difficulties abound. We are at the mercy of technology, but it's a lovely thing to be able to come to a room like this and viewers everywhere from their homes watching us. So this is great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I am from Boston, Massachusetts. Today it kind of feels like Boston outside, which I'm not happy about, but I know it's supposed to warm up later this afternoon. I have lived in Atlanta for 6 years, and I have been lucky to be in a lot of key positions from Kennesaw State University to the Interdenominational Theological Center, and be able to work with all these nonprofits and really amazing institutions in the AUC and beyond. So I feel really blessed to be here, especially when it's warm out. My family is from Trinidad and Tobago originally. And so the eclectic Black, sort of just Black magic, power moves, Black business owners, I love to see it. Of course, I think Boston and New England are on their way with really elevating and buoying leaders of color. But I mean, Atlanta is where it's at. So I'm really happy to be here. So my newest moment in time has taken me to Forbes Management, working with Yvonne Forbes and Yorith Brownie. Those are the real experts in all things tax, insurance, tax credits, et cetera, really helping companies envision how they can build wealth and manage their finances and hopefully retain revenue. So that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah. So thank you so much. So my sister-in-law is from Boston, Mass.
Okay.
Yeah. And my daughter's family lives in Brockton, like her on her dad's side. They live in Brockton. They live all across Massachusetts. So I was up there this past summer. The matriarch of the family passed away. So we were in Boston and Brockton and things like that. But I remember when my brother first introduced me to his wife, like she was his girlfriend. And he brought her to the house, and I'm never going to forget this. And we were young. We had to be like 21, 22. And they're still together, by the way, after all these years. I think 32 years they've been together, something crazy like that. Yeah, but he met her in college. And I remember I picked him up from somewhere, and we were walking into my house, and she was walking behind me. And she was like, yeah, don't forget to park the car. And I was like, what? And so my brother started laughing. I was like, so I said it under my breath, like, park the car. And he started laughing because he heard me. So the first time I heard somebody from Boston talk, and she said, park the car. And I was like, okay. Because we're from Jersey. So that was a little bit.
You're from Jersey. Okay.
I am.
Okay.
Born here in Georgia, but raised in Jersey. Spent most of my life in Jersey. Been back in Georgia for 10 years now, almost 11 years. You only be 11 years. So
wow.
I'm an original Georgia peach by way of Georgia to New Jersey. So, but I love Jersey. That's my stomping ground, but Georgia is my roots. So
yeah. So you're a Northeast girl in some way too. You're used to the cold. You know the cold. I have a lot of great friends from Jersey, and I have most of my best friends are from Brockton, Massachusetts, believe it or not.
You may know some of them people over there then.
Probably. Yeah. It's a small world, and the Black community, so to speak, is pretty small in Boston, so we stay close.
So I'm sure you probably heard of this guy. You heard of this guy named Marvin Hagler?
Oh, sure, of course. Is that going to be a guest of yours, or is that a friend of yours?
No, unfortunately, he'll never be a guest again. He passed away in 2021.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's my daughter's grandfather.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he passed in 2021, and so we were there. So his mom was matriarch, so she passed this past year. He passed in 21, and so we were there this past year in July for her funeral. But that was the first time I got introduced to Boston. Like, to go to Boston, I met him when I was dating his son there. And that was interesting, to say the least. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on.
That's another conversation.
That's another conversation for another day.
Yeah, unless you're on Facebook, it's hard to get this news sometimes. And I spend more time on IG and other platforms. But my condolences.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yvonne, they're trying to see the stream, and I sent them the YouTube link, but let me try to send it to them again. We're talking about, so I heard about the self-employed tax credit through Yvonne and yours, and it sounded very intriguing to me, but I think a lot of people still don't know about it, and I don't think they quite understand exactly what it is. So I want you to tell them a little bit about the difference between the ERC, which a lot of people heard about the ERC, but the self-employed one, I don't think a lot of people know about, and I don't think the people that do know about it, I don't think they qualify.
Yes. Yeah. See, this is a tricky thing. I think what Eurith and Yvonne are doing so well at Forbes Management is really breaking down the barriers, helping guide people through the process and simplify it. There is a great deal of complexity to these tax credit processes. The ERC is primarily designated for companies, not large or small, but any companies who suffered financial setbacks during the COVID. It came in, early 2020 in March. The legislation came down from the government that they would provide companies an opportunity to look at their finances and provide early response to unemployment benefits, to sick time, and general COVID relief for their employees. And then I think what happened in December 2020 is really that, the United States government looked and said, there are gig workers, freelancers, sole proprietors, and all sorts of people who are self-employed who need this kind of support too. And that's when they really looked at how do they build into this legislation and expand it to include the self-employed tax credit, which would give the opportunity for people who are employee and employer themselves to be able to receive this funding. It is a complicated process. I'm not going to lie to you. There is levels of complexity, and that's why it's really important to work with the Forbes management to really navigate the process. A lot of times, some of the early pitfalls for people are having their filings sent back for discrepancies and challenges, and Forbes management can help to mitigate those things so that your first filing goes in successfully. There is no secret for people who've done taxes in the past that once you get an amendment or it has to be sent back, it's going to be delayed. So it's really important to work with Forbes to really suss out your eligibility, to go through the nuances of the program. But I don't want to discourage people from seeing if they qualify, because the qualification process actually is made very turnkey by Forbes. And I can go into that a bit more.
I do want you to go into that because I want you to kind of address, like, right now, is it a certain size business that qualify for the tax credit, or do you need to be making a certain amount of money? Because I think that's another thing, a misnomer that people think I have to be making a certain amount of money. My business is small; it only made a few $1,000s, like those type of things that I hear a lot. I'm not sure my business qualified because it's small. It's just me. I didn't make a lot of money. Is there a difference between the amount of money that you need to make?
Nope, there is no net self earnings that need to be established. There is a maximum net, actually. It's not really a minimum. So people have thought of it the other way around. For this program, it's important that for a single filer, you don't go over 20,000. And for a filer who's filing jointly with, say, a marriage, within a marriage, or with a partner, you can't go over 40,000. So it's actually the opposite of what people think. It's that you would want to demonstrate that you have earnings that are less than that $20,000 and $40,000 mark. So I really encourage people to access this program because it's really made for people who took a big hit and also didn't make a lot of earnings during that point.
So I just want to back up for 1 second. So if you are a small business owner and you file a joint income tax with your spouse, and let's say your spouse make $100,000 a year, but your business did 10,000, you wouldn't qualify because the cap is at 40,000.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So long as you're a self-employed business owner who took a hit and didn't make over $20,000 in your business, then you would be a person that qualified.
That's correct. And this is really an amazing program. I have to say, United States government really came through for people in this, that they're not looking at big businesses and excluding people. They're looking at the Joe Schmo, any guy who has a small business that was a significant part of their income, but took a huge hit during COVID-19.
A lot of small businesses haven't even filed the 2020 and 2021 taxes, which I know that sounds bad, but if they're watching right now and they said, you know what, I need to file my taxes like today so I can take advantage of this program from 2022. Is that possible for them to do their 2021, 2020 taxes like right now if they have not filed and then enroll in the program?
I think the challenge with this program, Audrey, is actually timing. Because of the way that the United States government has rolled out some of these tax credit programs, timing is of the essence. So I'm not going to say no. I certainly don't say no to anything. And I think that, Yvonne and Ureth at Forbes Management are really masterful at working with people and figuring out what needs to happen in order to make this possible for them. But what I will say is that the timing is thin. So if there are folks who are in that circumstance, then you need to contact Forbes Management today. And I would say that all of these processes with the IRS are taking time these days. You mentioned earlier in the conversation scams. Well, it is a challenge in terms of the messaging for people to feel like these programs are valid and they're legitimate, but it's equally as much of a challenge for the IRS to navigate the scams that do exist on their end. There are some people who are putting in fraudulent documents and it slows down the process. So again, call today.
Yeah, I know when Yvonne first told me about it, of course, the first thing I did was went to the IRS website because, if this is an IRS program, of course, there should be some information on the site about it. Right. And it's right there in black and white. It's like, it was listed under something else. It was like FN something, FNCR something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I forgot what the acronym stands for, but I was like, okay, here it is. So, there are people who are just definitely mistrusting the system. They don't think that they qualify. They don't think that it's real. They think that, if I do this, the IRS is going to, everybody's definitely afraid of the IRS. It's like the police, like they're definitely afraid. So to the people who are looking right now, is there a way for them to, before they even sign up for anything, have like this conversation so they can get the premise of the show is for you guys to get a better understanding of what the program offers. However, if you need more information, you need to actually talk to somebody. Is there somebody they can talk to? Now, I've seen commercials on TV. And so when I see commercials, I'm like, okay, so there's, it's a commercial out about this thing. But if someone needs to have a conversation, what questions should they come to the table asking? Because I know there are a lot of people that just are definitely afraid of the IRS. They're going to come, they're going to take my house, my cat, my kids, the car, everything. And I'm one of those people, like, I'm going to raise my hand, like, yeah, I'm not messing with the IRS like that. So how can they, what do they need to, what questions should they be asking so they can get, feel more comfortable taking advantage of programs that could possibly net them up to $20,000, because I think I saw somewhere like up to $15,000, depending on which program.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to get the answers from the IRS website first.
Mm-hmm.
And even go so far as to call the IRS representatives if they feel like they really want to validate. I think it's, Forbes Management, Lifetime Advisors, all of these other companies and subsidiaries are doing a great job bringing access and guidance and support to the community. But the information really starts with that IRS website. So I'd encourage people to go look. If the self-employed tax credit is all you have to Google in order to get on that IRS website. The 1099 NEC is the form that is sort of related to the self-employed filings. If people really want to dig into the depths of what that program is and what it all means and what the filing denotes and what it qualifies them for, they should first go to the IRS website. Then we have an amazing 50-page document that really brings people through the process, explains the difference between the ERC and this self-employed tax credit, and also gives people an understanding of what not to apply for. A lot of times, some of the pitfalls include trying to sort of stack up and apply for several of these programs at once, which slows down your process. You really want to work with Forbes Management to identify the one program that you're most eligible for and go forward with that. And also what you won't get off of the IRS website that I think our lookbook does actually explain in greater detail is exactly how to outline your earnings. A lot of times these filings get sent back because their earnings are not properly recorded or they're rounded numbers instead of exact numbers. Remember, the IRS knows all.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of that. Really leverage that. And there are companies, and I will say this, there are big companies that have leveraged these tax credits in a transformative way. So people really don't be afraid, right? There is transformation in this. As you said, Audrey, I mean, $15,000 is a transformative amount of money for a small business.
Especially when you look at the 2024, like you're going into 2024, that $15,000 could definitely go towards your marketing budget or something in your business.
Absolutely.
So while you're thinking about, I need to come up with a marketing budget, for somebody, that could be a marketing budget that they never had before, just because they took advantage of this program.
Absolutely.
That is given to you by the government. It's not something that they pulled out of the air, made up. It's a government funded program that you have the right to if you meet the criteria and the eligibility pieces of it. You said something I want to go back to. You said 1099. So can you explain the difference between a 1099 self-employed person and a regular small business entrepreneur that's just a solopreneur? Because is there a difference when it comes to that whole thing? Like, I'm a self-employed, I'm not a 1099, like I don't work with a company on the 1099, but I'm self-employed, I have a marketing company, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just a financial tool that allows people to delve deeper into their tax liabilities. So it might be that when you meet with Forbes Management, you'll have to decipher what your filing status has been, what documents you've been using. These are all just really complicated codes that are meant to scare people, but really they're simplistic when you work with an expert like Forbes Management and they can help you break it down. Really, the tax liabilities is the most daunting part, is figuring that out and then figuring out your calculation. These forms help to do that and help to sort of get the process moving for you with the IRS. And so it's just really figuring out and equipping yourself with the right tools to move forward.
I think one of the things I realized during the pandemic is that when you're not properly structured in your business, and this is for the small business owner out there who's a solopreneur, when you're not properly structured, you miss out on a lot of opportunities when they come your way. So the pandemic was horrific, right? But it did bring some relief. But if you weren't structured, and I know for me, when I went to go, I had just literally launched my business. Like I didn't have $1 in the business because I literally had just did my ribbon cutting in February and the world shut down in March. So I didn't get a chance to make any money. And so when I tried to apply for some of those programs, there was no money because I never got a chance to make any for 2020 because we were completely, I launched January, cut my ribbon in February, spoke at a conference in March, came back from the conference, literally a couple of days later, the world shut down. So there was no money to be made in my business in 2020 because we weren't doing business because of the pandemic. So if I had made $4,000, I probably would have qualified for, I forgot some grant they told me, but I did not because there was nothing happening. And all I did for like the whole year was watch the news and just see how horrific everything was. until the pandemic struck my family towards the end of December, and forget about it. I was shut down my business shut down, Christina, from March 2020 till July
Wow.
2021, because the pandemic took my mom, and then I shut down for the rest. So I didn't do any business for like a year and a half almost because of the pandemic. But what I learned was, because I did not do business and I could not show proper documentation because I didn't do business, I missed out on a lot of the money that was on the table. So talk about properly having your business structure so you can take advantage of these programs. God forbid we have to go through another pandemic, but you never know what may happen. You never know when, things are going to happen to affect your business. And the government stepped in and say, look, we're going to help you as best we can. But because you're not properly structured, you still missed all those things.
Yeah. And I'm so sorry that the pandemic was so hard for you. We have qualified you already, Audrey, right?
Not yet. I'm going, like, not quite yet. But when I had my conversation yesterday, I was like, send me the link because I need to know, do I qualify?
After this, I'm going to call you because we will get you right through the pipeline.
Okay.
But it's really important that we level the playing field. What I'm hearing you say is that there is a lack of access. And we really have to, I think Forbes is fighting hard to level the playing field for business owners so that kind of knowledge doesn't deter them, or lack of knowledge doesn't deter them from getting what they deserve. There are tax attorneys and tax consultants and all sorts of people. You can have 3, 4 people, 5 people on your staff when you're a bigger company whose job it is to look for these things and to be on top of it. Small business owners don't have that benefit.
Yeah.
So as you didn't. So it's really important for us to get out there and give people a sense that they have support in navigating this process and the intricacies of these tax forms and the documentation and all of it. And we can do that for people. But I also want to make another point. You mentioned not having made any income during that time. Actually, that's going to work really well for you with this process, because what the basis is of the qualification is that you show that there was a demonstrable change to your income during this time and your revenue. And you have to be able to show that there was a big hit and a change to your bottom line in terms of your profit and your loss.
Yeah, it was a big hit to my life in general. So I guess I would qualify. So with this process, when people come to you guys, do they need to bring certain documentation? What's that process look like? Walk us through what it looks like when they come to you.
Well, we're going to start off really easy. There is a self-employed tax credit survey that we send to people, and it's very short and it's very sweet. It asks 3 questions after the basic information, like your email, your phone number, your street address, city, your business name, and your, what you're doing business as, and also your title. After those types of, formalities, 3 very simple questions. Were you self-employed and negatively impacted during COVID during this period of time, April 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021? And then the second question would be about 2021 in those same date frames. I think some of the challenges for people is that during the pandemic, actually, there was a spike in people starting businesses, opening businesses, and starting LLCs because people were home and finally able to really realize their dreams. Some of those new businesses would not be eligible because they were not already open and established during those tax years. So some of that will be things that we can navigate on the phone call. But I would say if you're watching this, just pick up the phone call, or email. Yvonne Forbes is yvonne@forbesmgt.com. And Urith Brownie is urith@forbesmgt.com. And if you'd like to reach out to me, I'm happy to field your calls and to help connect you in. My email is christinaalexis023@gmail.com. And I'm happy to help lead you to Urith and Yvonne, who are, very well versed in this and have been a long time working on this process. And their company also encompasses a lot more than just tax credits. And so you might benefit from receiving their counsel.
I can tell you right now, I honestly thought I didn't qualify till you just said that, because when I did my little tax thing in 2020, it was nothing on it. It was zero because there was no money because I had literally just started and the world shut down. So I definitely was like, yeah, I'm not going to qualify for that. But now I really have to actually go through the process because that's where that I didn't think about it. So I'm glad that you cleared that up for me, because I thought you had to make something. And I think I thought that because a lot of the programs that I did try to go for, like I had a friend out in Texas, like when they first did I forgot what, I think it was the EIDL, I think it was.
Mhm.
As soon as they did that, she qualified. And she's like, I just got like, I think she got like $15,000. And I was like, what? So I tried to do it. And it's like, yeah, you can't do it. And I was like, okay. So after that, like after a couple of those, I was like, yeah, I don't qualify for anything because my business just had not started yet. And so
Right.
I just stopped trying at that point. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. Like once they realize that they can't really do anything, they just stop trying, like, well, this doesn't apply to me. And because that's what I was thinking, it doesn't apply to me. And here
Right.
you are telling me, girl, you better come on here and send that paper in because you just may get it. Like, and so guess what I'll be doing? Send me the link. Let me do the but I already spoke to them about sending me the link, because I, speaking to them, they said, it's a lot of stuff, and just do the survey. And I said, okay, I'll do the survey. So I'm excited about seeing like what happens with this now.
Yeah. And there's no guarantees. I want to say that out
Yeah.
loud, to make sure that, I don't excite people and then we let them down. There really are some nuances to this process. And actually the self-employed tax credit process is very stringent. And there are some specific pitfalls in there that we want to watch for and make you aware of in the beginning of the process. But it is really important to just try, because there might be other things. There might be an entrepreneur who actually does have the opportunity to do ERTC that comes to us, the employee retention tax credits. They might be people who don't even know what they can gain access to. So just try.
So speak about a little bit about that, because I know I was with I heard someone say that their accountant told them just stay away from the ERCT, and I'm like, well, it's money. Why would you stay away from that? So what's the difference between the ERCT and the self-employed tax credit?
Yeah, so the ERC, you actually have to have employees and have maintained and sustained those employees during the pandemic. So that's the big difference. So with the self-employed tax credits, you're the employee and the employer. With the ERTC, you have to have maintained employees, and there is a calculation with your tax liabilities and all of your income, profit, and loss for that ERTC. That's very different than for the self-employed. So both of those programs can be explained really well by Yurith and Yvonne. But I would urge you to just try and come in and ask the questions. Come ready to have to dig into your documentation to find the information that's necessary to put through to the IRS.
So with the I remember with the ERCT, it was like you can get something like $26,000 per employee. Is there a cap on the self-employed tax that you can get as well? I know you can't make over a certain amount, but is there a cap on how much you may be able to receive if you are approved?
I actually wouldn't want to say yes or no to that here, just because I know that the calculations are much different. It's not as black and white as the ERTC. So I would say go through the qualification process and really let that process give you the analysis of what their possibilities are for your return and recovery.
All right. As far as documentation, do they need to bring like business license, tax ID numbers, tax returns? When they come to see you guys, once they do the survey and then they set up their appointment, what kind of documentation should be available that they should bring with them?
The most complicated thing, I think, is actually going to be the net self earnings. That's going to be the most complicated thing. I think really getting in order your profit and loss statements. This might be harder for gig workers and people who are driving Uber and people who are driving. And again, don't discount yourself, right? Gig workers, freelancers, sole proprietors, this tax credit is meant for you. But there is going to need to be really good documentation of your earnings during that time. But for Uber and Lyft drivers specifically, I happen to know quite a few. I know that there are back-end, data reporting of how many rides you've given and how much money you've made. That's the type of documentation that you're going to need to pull. So don't think about sophisticated tax documentation that an accountant created for you. Just think about how you can reflect either bank account statements or statements from sales from your business or service that really can account for what you've made during that time and also show the change. The other thing that I think is not required, but it does say in some of the fine print that it's helpful to have COVID tests, COVID results, or any doctor's notes or any notes where you've tested for COVID, or any indications, maybe even emails where you've been out of work for a period of time because of COVID or due to COVID, whether it was you or a family member, or you were quarantined due to symptoms. Those types of pieces of documentation are really helpful too, to demonstrate that COVID really affected your business.
Oh, God. So I got a whole lot going on because I got COVID tests, COVID diagnosis, things that I hadn't even thought about. Like, I have all of those. So that's interesting. Okay. So, all right. So now I know you say it's backed up. It's a lot going on. What's the normal? Is there estimation about how long did the approval process take before a person knows, like, okay, I'm approved, I'm not approved? Like, have you seen, like, 6 to 8 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks, 18 months? Have you seen something along the lines of what the approval process take about?
Yeah, so it varies. The IRS is really, as I said earlier, looking to make sure they can validate and legitimize all of these different claims and requests that come in. It is going to take a little bit longer, and we're seeing that there is an influx and a little bit of a delay. I would say that when you work on your specific case, only at that time can Forbes management really give you a good estimate of how long it might take. And I think they always stand on saying it may, because there are factors that are outside of their control of the IRS.
Okay. Now I know people are watching, they're saying that sounds great. I'm qualified. What is there a fee that Forbes management charge for that? Or is there something covered by the government as well?
It's not a flat rate fee. It is a percentage. So once your amount is determined in the recovery funds, that amount is determined in terms of the estimate amount that you should get back. That's when Forbes will negotiate and also conclude with you what the amount is that Forbes would get for having guided you and been a resource to you through the process.
So it sounds like, I don't know, maybe back in the day, because now when you're a business on your tax preparation is a little more sophisticated, at least it should be. But I remember when going to H&R Block back in the day,
yeah,
and you would get your taxes done. They'd do your taxes, and everybody be all excited because they're getting their taxes, and you didn't pay up front. They took a percentage of whatever that fee was out of your taxes. Is that what you're saying? Because I think if that's the case too, listen, you have nothing to lose at this point. I just want you people listening to me right now, that you're a small business, you're self-employed, that pandemic affected you. You literally have nothing to lose at this point, except for a couple of hours of your time that could turn into your marketing money for 2024 if everything goes in your favor. But here's the thing. I can guarantee you one thing out of this conversation with Christina. If you do nothing, you are guaranteed not to get anything.
That's right. Yep. Closed mouths do not get fed. And so it's really important to, move forward with this process and just investigate what's possible. You can't lose. If anything, you walk away with from this with a great deal of education and understanding. There are businesses that are very savvy, like I said, that have 5 and 6 people whose job it is to make sure that they are in the know on all things tax credits. You can become that expert for your own business by just allotting, a couple hours each week to really be on the IRS website and investigating what's what. This can be a transformational amount of money for your company and your business, or for you personally to recover the losses that you suffered during COVID or the debt that you incurred when you weren't making money during COVID.
Well, I can tell y'all right now, right in February, I had just bought all this equipment for my studio. I had paid rent at the location. I had everything. I spent a lot of money only to come back home from Florida from speaking at the conference to have to shut the doors, like shut them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my, and then we had to go in and take everything out. So I have all this equipment because I have a media company. I have all this equipment in my garage. That has been sitting there since 20, because now I'm freaking out, like I'm never leaving again. I'm just going to stay home and do my podcast because I pretty much lost a lot of money is what I'm saying. So if you're like me and you didn't even think this was possible for you, just check it out. You have nothing to lose.
That's
you
right.
know, you don't even have to pay the money up front. You pay a percentage of whatever you are approved for. If you are approved through the IRS, you pay that to Forbes. They're going to help you see if whether or not you can get approved. And then that's when you pay. You have nothing to lose at this point. How about go ahead and do the process and then kick 24 off in a different kind of way than you did last year? How about that?
Yep, that's right. More knowledge, more access, and giving your business and yourself a fair shot, right?
Yeah.
Let's give ourselves a shot.
Fair shot. So listen, reach out to Yvonne or yours. They're there. Christina is there to help you. Listen, is there a telephone number, Christina, that we can add to this?
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
678 518 0688. And that's Forbes Insurance Services.
Okay. I got another question for you. Do they have to live in the state of Georgia, which is, I know that's where that's where you guys are located. Can they be anywhere and dial this number and get somebody on the phone to answer their question?
Yes. Great question. I'm glad you mentioned that. I meant to mention that earlier. These are federal funds. So you can live in any state. If you're in Alaska, still call us. Yes.
If you're in Alaska, still call them. You can live anywhere. These are government funding. Call the number. It's on your, I feel like a commercial. Call the number. It's on your screen.
Call now.
Call now. 678-518-0688. Listen, any closing remarks, because I'm hoping that people just take advantage of this opportunity. I didn't know. And both you and Yvonne are part of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce, and I didn't know. They talked about it, but I kind of glazed over like most people probably do.
Yeah. And
now I'm thinking, let me go find my tax return from 20 because it sure has 0 on it because my business shut completely down.
I'm so glad. Thank you, Audrey, for hosting us on your show, and keep on going. And let's see what we can do for you to recover some of your losses and also get your equipment out of that garage and back right and back in the studio where it belongs. This is an exciting time. I think people like you leading to really provide access to information changes and shifts the paradigm. So we're just very grateful. So on behalf of Forbes, thank you.
You're very welcome. So listen, everybody on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Amazon, thank you guys for joining us. I hope you got some great information out of this. Listen, if you are a small business, if you are a micro business, if you are a solopreneur, if you got 50 employees, these women know their stuff, and you may be leaving a lot of money on the table. Here's the thing. What do you have to lose except for a couple of hours every time? Don't waste it. I'm not wasting another second. I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to pull my taxes. I'm going to do my survey, and I'm going to let them look at them and tell me exactly what I qualify for. And I promise, if I get $1, I'm going to come back and tell you guys, because that's $1 that I did not have. And I'll probably spend it on the lottery because it's $1, but prayerfully I'll get more than $1 back. Thank you, Christina, for taking time to just share and share this information with people, because I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And I hope that, I can't say this enough. You have nothing to lose. You don't even have to pay up front. You pay out of what you get back. So don't waste time. This could be a changing point to your business. I'm the president of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce. There are a lot of you who right now are looking at this. You need marketing money in 2023, 2024. What do you have to lose? You have nothing but everything to gain. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing. Thank you to Yvonne and you for introducing me to you. And also thank them for being a part of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce. We did an event yesterday. We had a woman there. She said that was one of the best meetings she had been to. I feel so good when I hear stuff like that, because we had a great conversation at the 1818 Club. So shout out to everybody over the 1818 Club over in Duluth. Always so nice and so accommodating. Thank you to them. We just left Peachtree Cafe. Shout out to everybody at Peachtree Cafe downtown Lawrenceville. Another great meeting this morning. I'm all over the place, girl. I'm all over the place.
You are helping a lot of people, Audrey. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm trying my best, girl. I'm trying my best. Listen, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to all of the channels, especially my YouTube channel. And you can go back, if you missed any part of it, you can go back and rewatch it. So that way you can get the information. The emails are there. Reach out to the team over at Force Management. They can help you get started. It doesn't cost you anything. Some time. It's Friday. You're not doing anything anyway. So take a minute and fill out the survey. It could save you some money. It could also put something back in your business. Okay.
Right.
We'll be back again with another episode next week. But listen, I got to tell y'all this. Probably for the next 6 to 12 weeks, I'm going to be talking all AI. It's an AI series. Why? Because AI is so important to your business in so many ways. So next week, we're going to be starting our AI series. So be sure to tune in next week. If you don't want to miss the episode, just subscribe to the YouTube channel or the LinkedIn, and you will get the notification when I go live. So that way you never miss an episode, and you're always right there when I go live. So Christina, thank you. If I don't get a chance to see you before the holidays, enjoy. Have a wonderful one.
You.
Hopefully I'll see you though, but if I don't, have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody that's joining us around the world. It has been a pleasure to bring this information to you. I hope it changes your business for 2024. Be sure to contact the ladies. Emails are on the screen. This is recorded. We're live right now, but it's also recorded. So if you miss anything, just go back and listen to the episode again. If you have any questions, be sure to call them. They'll be happy to answer your questions. You can call them, and here's their telephone number one more time, just in case you missed it. The number's here. Give them a call. They're waiting. Operators are standing by.
You're good at this.
This is me every day, Christina, acting a fool. Not on video. I'm on audio most days. Monday through Thursday, I'm on audio. But Fridays, I'm on video. But this is me every day acting crazy.
Well, and invite me back anytime. I love to act a fool.
You got it. You got it. Listen, guys, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe out there. And we'll be back again next week with another great episode. Until next time, make it a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Friday Morning Mingle. If you enjoyed this episode of the show, be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite streaming platform. If you would like to join a community of women who mean business, we invite you to become a member of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce by going to www.gwinnettwomenschamber.com, or to become a member of the Thrive Tribe, go to www.thrivetribe.biz. Tune in next week for another great episode of the Friday Morning Mingle at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.